You can kind of narrate as you get going through.
All right. Let's see here.
Are you live yet?
Yep, we're live. Let's see here. Okay. All right, everybody, how you doing? My name is Patrick. I'm the director of Kentucky Cannabis Freedom Coalition. I've got Robert on here. Robert, you want to introduce yourself real quick?
Hey, everybody, I'm Robert. I own Kentucky CBD Pharmacy. I'm also a board director for the Kentucky Hemp Association, as well as Kentucky Cannabis Freedom Coalition. We're here to get this industry moving.
All right, so what we're going to do is that we're going to play some audio clip. Okay, it's the same one we've been playing for every one of our meetings. It's going to last about 15 minutes to give people to invite people to our website, Legalize Kentucky Town Hall meeting, and have them join. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this going. Is that okay?
Do it.
Very good. Let's see here. Oh, where's it at? There it is. Can you see that, Robert?
Yes.
Another deep dive. Today, we're going to be heading down south to Kentucky.
Anybody else got audio? Nope. All right. Thank you, Cecil. All right, Patrick. I can't hear anything. All right, can anybody else hear or speak right now? Or is I'm just,
I can hear you.
okay, I hear you. Okay, so nobody else can hear the video playing, correct?
No.
Okay. Do-do-do. Calling in the technical help.
Can you hear me?
Now I can hear you.
All right. Is that better?
That is awesome tech help, let me tell you.
All right.
All right, so let's try this again, everybody.
Again, sorry about that technical difficulties. Let's see here.
Whole
Let's
five
see.
participants.
I was like, how many people are on here?
All right, so we're going to ask everybody to go ahead and mute for right now. Okay, let's try it again.
All right, everyone, welcome back for another deep
Can you
dive.
hear that, Robert?
Today, we're going to be heading down south to Kentucky to take a look at something pretty interesting going on down there.
Yeah,
Cannabis reform.
absolutely. And we've got a whole lot to cover too. We've been looking through some legislative documents, getting intel from advocacy groups,
Oh, very cool.
and we've even got some data analysis to really get into the nitty gritty of what's going on and why folks should be paying attention.
Okay, so let's dive right into this, shall we? And listeners, you are in for a treat because Kentucky is potentially on the verge of something big, right? Like, we're not just talking about tweaking some minor laws here.
No, not at all. This is something much bigger, potentially even a constitutional amendment.
Whoa, really? A constitutional amendment?
Yeah, it's called HB 105,
Okay.
and it could actually let the people of Kentucky directly vote on cannabis decriminalization.
Okay, hold on. You're gonna have to break this down for me because it's a pretty major development, a constitutional amendment.
Oh, for sure. For sure. So this HB 105, what it does is it guarantees adults 21 and older the right to possess, use, buy, or sell up to 1 ounce of cannabis.
Okay.
And they could even cultivate up to 5 plants for personal use,
Oh,
all without any criminal penalties.
so it's not just about legalization, it's about putting the power in the hands of Kentuckians to actually make this decision themselves.
Exactly.
I can see why you're so excited about this. It seems like a pretty big deal. But why go the route of a constitutional amendment? I mean, wouldn't just passing a regular law be enough?
Well, think about it this way. If they change the state constitution,
Yeah.
it's a much more permanent change, you know? Future legislatures can't just come in and easily reverse it.
Oh, okay.
It's a way to really solidify this change and protect it for the people who support decriminalization.
Right, because it's literally written into the fabric of the state's laws.
Exactly.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So we've got this bill, HB 105, potentially changing the game in Kentucky.
Mhm.
But there's also a group that's been super vocal about pushing for this change.
Yeah, the Kentucky Cannabis Freedom Coalition.
The KCFC. I've heard of these guys. They've been making some noise.
Oh, yeah, they're doing some amazing work.
So what exactly is their role in all of this?
Well, they're a nonprofit advocacy group,
Okay.
and they're working totally within the legal system to educate the public about cannabis.
All right.
You know, dispelling those myths and advocating for common sense reforms like HB 105.
So they're not just about shouting from the rooftops. They're actually getting down to the nuts and bolts of making this happen.
Exactly. And they're really smart about it too. They have this initiative called Survey Says,
Oh yeah, I've seen that.
where they gauge public opinion, you know,
Very cool.
to show that there's widespread support for change.
Sorry.
It's all about fostering open dialogue and really getting people talking about this issue.
I love that. All right, so we've got this potential game changer in HB 105. We've got the KCFC working hard to make it a reality, and it sounds like there's a lot of public support brewing. So let's say someone listening to this is totally fired up about this issue. Right. What can they actually do to help push HB 105 across the finish line?
Well, this is where things get really interesting because now it's all about the people.
Ooh, I like where this is going. This is about getting involved, right?
Absolutely. Since we're talking about a constitutional amendment, the legislature has to take action, right?
Right.
So the most impactful thing anyone can do is contact their representatives,
Oh,
especially their Republican representatives, and urge them to support and co-sponsor HB 105.
all right. So it's time for all you Kentuckians out there to pick up those phones and make your voices heard. We're talking about calling the legislative hotline,
Yes,
and that number is 1-800-372-7181.
get those calls going.
Don't be shy. Don't just call once.
No,
Make it twice a day.
exactly.
Monday through Friday,
Yeah.
between 7 a.m. and 6 p.m. Eastern time.
Every call makes a difference.
I love it. So this is about showing the Kentucky legislature just how much support there is for HB 105.
Absolutely. They need to see how important this is to the people they represent.
Right, because every call is a message. It's a statement.
Exactly.
And this is your chance, Kentucky, to directly impact the future of cannabis in your state.
It's all about taking action.
So let's say someone is ready to make that call.
Yeah.
But they're thinking, hold on, how do I actually find my representative?
Okay, good question. It's super easy.
Okay.
For example, let's say your representative is Jared Bauman.
Okay.
You can email him directly at jared.bauman@kilegislature.gov.
All right, super simple. Or if you're not sure who your representative is,
Right.
you can always call the Legislative Research Commission,
They're great.
or the LRC for short, at 502-564-810.
They'll hook you up with your representative's info in no time.
It's all about taking that first step, making that connection.
And remember,
Yeah,
don't underestimate the power of actually talking to your elected officials.
I love that. So we've laid out the roadmap. We've given you the tools.
Yep.
It's time for action, Kentucky. Let's make this happen.
I'm excited to see what happens next.
Me too. So we've
Mhm.
talked a lot about taking action and how important it is to reach out to your representatives. But let's take a step back for a second and look at what's actually happening on the ground in Kentucky.
Right? Like, what does the current cannabis landscape look like?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, the data actually paints a pretty stark picture. The Kentucky Center for Economic Policy released a report, and it shows thousands of Kentuckians are facing cannabis related charges and convictions every year.
Wow, thousands. That's a lot of people.
Yeah. And you know what's really crazy? A lot of these are for minor offenses.
Like what? Just simple possession or something.
Exactly. Like, for example, Lyon County has a conviction rate of 11.9 per 1,000 residents.
Well, hold on. That sounds really high.
It is. That's more than 4 times the state average.
Wow, that's some pretty staggering numbers. It really makes you think about the human cost of all of this, you know?
Absolutely. Every charge, every conviction, it represents a real person whose life is being affected.
Right. It's not just a statistic, it's someone's job prospects, their housing, their right to vote, even.
Exactly. It's a ripple effect that goes way beyond just a possession charge.
So, with HB 105 on the table, the one we were talking about earlier, the one that could decriminalize cannabis, do you think we could actually see a shift in those numbers? Like, could we see fewer charges and convictions?
Oh, I definitely think it's possible. Decriminalization could really take a lot of pressure off the justice system.
Right. So they could focus on more serious crimes.
Exactly. And think about it, decriminalization could actually lead to new industries,
Oh, yeah.
new jobs, more tax revenue. It could be a real boost to the Kentucky economy.
It's like a domino effect. All these positive impacts stemming from one change.
And it's not just economic benefits either. We could see positive social impacts as well. Well, think about it. Decriminalization could really help change public perception about cannabis,
Hmm.
help break down those negative stereotypes.
Yeah.
And that could lead to more community development, more understanding, and acceptance.
I like it. So it's not just about individual freedom. It's about the entire state of Kentucky potentially benefiting from this.
Exactly. It's about creating a more just and equitable society.
Okay, so we've been talking a lot about Kentucky, but this isn't just happening in a vacuum, right? There's a whole national movement going on.
Oh, yeah, for sure. We're seeing a massive shift all across the country when it comes to cannabis.
It's like a domino effect. More and more states are joining the party.
Exactly. More states are legalizing or decriminalizing, and it's really putting pressure on others to reevaluate their own policies.
It's like, hey, if they can do it, why can't we?
Exactly. And that national momentum is putting Kentucky in a really interesting position.
Look at a crossroads.
Totally. They have HB 105 on the table. They've got the KCFC pushing for change, and now they've got all these other states showing them that it's possible.
So it's like a pivotal moment for Kentucky.
Yeah.
Where do they want to stand on this issue?
Exactly. Do they want to be part of this new wave of reform, or do they want to stay stuck in the past?
And that's why it's so important for people to contact their legislator.
Yes, they need to make their voices heard.
It's not just about saying yes or no to cannabis. It's about making sure these complex issues are being discussed.
Right, and that all sides are being heard.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we've talked about the KCFC and their role in advocating for HB 105, but they're also doing a lot of educational work, right?
Oh, absolutely. Their website is like a one-stop shop for all things cannabis.
Really?
They've got info on HB 105. They've got the latest research and news.
Wow.
They even have a Know Your Rights section, which is super helpful for anyone who's curious about cannabis in Kentucky.
It's like they're providing people with the tools they need to make informed decisions.
Exactly. And their whole data-driven approach is really effective.
Yeah. Like with the Survey Says initiative, they're showing that support for reform isn't just a bunch of people shouting. It's actually a widespread sentiment.
It's smart and it gives them a lot of credibility.
It's like they're speaking the language of facts and figures.
Exactly. And that's what policymakers need to see.
It's inspiring to see a group like that so dedicated to making a difference.
They're really putting in the work.
So we've been talking a lot about calling that legislative hotline,
Yeah, it's super important.
but are there other ways people can get involved with the KCFC and their efforts?
Oh, yeah, tons. Their website has a how to help section, and it's got all sorts of ways to contribute.
Awesome.
You can donate, you can sign up for their newsletter, you can even attend their events and connect with other people who are passionate about this issue.
So it's about finding what works for you, what you're comfortable with.
Exactly. And remember, every little bit helps.
It's all about collective action, right?
Absolutely. And change doesn't happen overnight,
It's process.
The legislative process can be slow, it can be frustrating sometimes, but it's important to stay persistent
Keep those calls coming.
and stay informed. Keep up with what's happening with HB 105 and don't be afraid to speak your mind.
I love it. Okay, so before we move on, is there anything else about HB 105 itself that we haven't covered yet? Any interesting tidbits?
Oh, actually, there's another bill that's kind of connected to all of this. It's called HB 106.
Oh, really? What's that one about?
We don't have all the details yet, but it seems like it's addressing some of the potential consequences of decriminalization.
Like what?
Well, things like expunging past cannabis convictions
Oh, wow, that would be huge.
and protecting Second Amendment rights.
Okay, so it's like they're trying to anticipate some of the challenges that might come up.
Exactly. It's about being proactive and thinking about the bigger picture.
And expunging past convictions, that would be a game changer for so many people.
It would give people a clean slate, a chance to move forward without the stigma of a criminal record.
Exactly. And the Second Amendment part, that's an interesting one because federal law still prohibits cannabis users from owning firearms.
Right, even in states where it's legal.
So it's like a clash between state and federal law.
It's a complex issue, and it's something that's going to need to be addressed as more states move towards cannabis reform.
It's like a whole other can of worms, but an important one to discuss.
Absolutely. Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here. HB 105, the KCFC, the potential impacts of decriminalization.
It's a lot to process.
Yeah.
What are some key takeaways you want our listeners to remember?
Well, first and foremost, this issue is about way more than just cannabis.
Right. It's about so much more.
It's about individual freedoms, economic opportunities, social justice.
And it's about the role of government in our lives.
Exactly. And for Kentuckians, this is something that directly affects them.
The future of cannabis in their state is, in many ways, in their hands.
Exactly. So whether you're passionate about this issue or just starting to learn about it, your voice matters.
Get involved. Contact your legislators, especially your Republican representatives, and make your voice heard.
Every phone call, every email, it all adds up.
It's about showing them how much this issue matters to you.
And it's not just about voicing your opinion, it's about staying informed.
Right. Keep learning. Keep asking questions.
And have those conversations with your elected officials and your community members.
It's a conversation that deserves everyone's attention.
Absolutely. And we've given you the information and the tools to get involved. So we encourage you to keep researching and forming your own opinion.
Exactly. This is about empowering yourselves to make informed decisions. All right. So as we wrap up our deep dive into what's going on with cannabis in Kentucky, I'm really curious what has stood out to you the most from everything we've talked about.
Yeah, it's been a lot to unpack for sure.
It really has.
You know, for me, what's really striking is how we're seeing all these different things coming together at once in Kentucky. Like you've got this shift in public opinion happening,
Yeah.
and you've got this super dedicated advocacy group, the KCFC, really pushing for change.
They're awesome.
They really are. And then on top of that, you've got this real potential for economic and social benefits for the entire state.
It's like all the stars are aligning.
Yeah, it really feels like Kentucky's at a turning point.
It's exciting. And, while we've been focusing a lot on the potential positive impacts of HB 105, we should also acknowledge that this is a complicated issue with valid concerns on all sides.
Oh, absolutely. You've got to consider things like public health, road safety, youth access, and how all of this would be regulated.
Right. It's not just a simple yes or no kind of thing.
It's about having those tough conversations, weighing the pros and cons, and figuring out what kind of future Kentuckians want for their state.
Exactly. And that's why citizen engagement is so important.
Absolutely. It's not just about calling your legislators. It's about talking to your neighbors, your friends, your family.
Right. Having those open and honest conversations about what this all means.
And working together to create policies that actually reflect the values and needs of Kentucky residents.
Okay. So for anyone who might have missed a few things along the way, let's do a super quick recap here. We're talking about HB 105, a bill that could potentially allow Kentuckians to vote on decriminalizing cannabis.
And remember, the most effective way to make your voice heard on this issue is to contact your Republican legislators and tell them to support and co-sponsor HB 105.
That's right. Call that legislative hotline at 1-800-372-7181.
Make those calls.
Twice a day, Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern Time. Every call makes a difference.
And don't forget, you can also find your representative's contact information online through the Legislative Research Commission if you need it.
Super easy. So if we take a step back and look at the bigger picture here, Kentucky has a real chance to be a leader in this whole movement for cannabis reform that's sweeping the nation.
That's an exciting time.
It really is. And for all of you listening in Kentucky right now, the future of this issue is really in your hands.
Make your voices heard.
That's right. Speak up, get involved, and help shape the future of your state.
And as you continue to learn about this issue, I'll leave you with one final thought. If Kentucky does decide to decriminalize cannabis, What kind of impact do you think that will have on the state?
What kind of economic and social changes might we see?
How will this decision affect different communities across Kentucky?
It's definitely something to think about.
It's a complex issue with a lot of different angles, and it's going to be fascinating to see how it all plays out.
Well, that's all the time we have for today's deep dive. We've given you the information, the resources, and hopefully the inspiration to get involved.
Now it's your turn. Keep learning, keep asking questions, and keep diving deep into the issues that matter most to you.
We'll see you next time for another deep dive.
All right. Can you hear me? Robert, can you hear me? Robert?
I can hear you.
Awesome. All right. Let's get this together. Let's see here. Can you see the screen?
I can see the screen.
Cool. All right. So real quick, again, my name is Patrick Dunnigan. I'm the director of Kentucky Cannabis Freedom Coalition. We're going to go over a couple slides on how you can help us change the cannabis laws in the state of Kentucky, give you an update on what we're doing in the state, and tell you about certain events. If we go too fast, feel free to ask us to slow down. You're welcome to post questions in the chat at the bottom of the screen in Zoom, and we'll get to them at the end, right? And we will answer every question you have. So let's go ahead and get into this, okay? So first thing I want to do is I want to say thank you to our sponsors, KYCBD Pharmacy, Robert, Kentucky Medical Marijuana Center, Bluegrass Therapeutical Cannabis, and Medical Cannabis Clinic of Kentucky, and 502 Hemp. These organizations agree on what we are doing. They support us. They actually reached into their pocket and said, we will sponsor you all. So we are very thankful for them. So if you know who these people are, please reach out to them and say thank you. We would really appreciate it. Robert, you want to add anything to that?
We're doing business with the actual supportive companies. I don't care where you buy your cannabis products in Kentucky, but make sure they support changing these laws. Make sure they're the ones speaking to help change these laws. There's very good companies in Kentucky. There's a lot of great brands already. We've got to fight for what's here, and these people are doing just that. They're supporting Decrim and our movement, so we're supporting them.
There you go. Give me 1 second here. Put this down here. All right, so we're going to give a couple of updates real quick. We have a 420 event coming up, right? We are actually selling our little buttons for $5 a piece. We're asking everybody to get one of our buttons, and on 420, wear their button, take a picture of themselves, right, and send it to our page, right, and hashtag Legalize Kentucky, so we can all unite together on our magic 420 day, which I consider Christmas. This is my personal opinion. Robert is actually getting ready to announce an event on 419. Go for it.
We're having our Pharmacy Fest on 419, the Saturday before 420. We'll have all our KCFC pins there. And if you can take and tag a picture of you wearing that pin with KCFC, tag them, you will get a prize. It'll be a cool event. We're gonna have all kind of vendors. We're gonna have music. Daniel Kane's gonna be playing. We've got barbecue truck, hoping for a couple more, but it's gonna have a lot of other vendors too, and all will be cool. So y'all are all welcome to always come out.
Yeah, and I'm excited for it. I really am. Real quick, I also updated the website. If you go to that website, legalizekentucky.com/KCFC button, you can now actually select multiple buttons at a time. Okay, so I just want to let you know I did ramp that shopping cart up for everybody. All right, just let me know if you have any problems, please. All right. Secondly, we have launched a referral program. So we have got a lot of people here. We got 30,000 people on our page, and I'm very thankful for each and every one of them, right? And the key is to have the sponsors that are sponsoring us. So we're willing to do a referral, right? If you have a business that you shop that supports cannabis reform and decriminalization, send them our way, and we'll send you a $50 gift card, a $50 card, right, for your appreciation for helping us out, because we all have to work together. So if you're interested in earning some money, go to legalizekentucky.com/referral program, get involved, please, because we did a survey, right, and we had probably a good 120 people say they would be interested in volunteering with our organization. So now we're going to go over our slides to change the cannabis laws in Kentucky. I'm going to talk about how you can help change the cannabis laws in Kentucky, whether you're passionate about the social, medical, or economic benefits of cannabis legalization, there are several impactful steps that you can take to contribute to this cause. Let's get into it real quick. Number one, you need to educate yourself. We want everyone to be educated on what's going on in the state of Kentucky. First and foremost, knowledge is power. You begin by educating yourself about the current cannabis laws in Kentucky. Understand the benefits and the risks associated with cannabis use, as well as the broader social and economic impact of legalization. Once you have gathered this information, share it with your friends and family and community. Building a well informed support base can make a significant difference in promoting change. So, what I'll say to that is example, all right, our bill is HB 105. It's an amendment to the Kentucky Constitution to allow you to have up to an ounce of cannabis on you in the state of Kentucky and grow 5 plants. We understand that 5 plants will yield more than an ounce, but we're talking about personal use. And if we have any questions about the medical bill, we will gladly answer that as well. Okay? Robert?
All right. Step 2 is engage in advocacy, and that's exactly what you're doing right now. You're here. You're public. That's what we're doing, is we're bringing this to light. Engaging in advocacy is a crucial step. Join local or national advocacy groups that are dedicated to cannabis law reform. And I'm going to say this, we are the all-inclusive one. We are the glue that binds this whole industry. This is the one we need followed, straight up. These organizations often provide resources, run campaigns, and host events where you can participate to amplify your voice. By becoming an active member, you can help create collective push for change that is far more effective than going it alone. We're here and we're accepting everybody. We don't care who you are, how you, anything. If you are cannabis supportive, this is the group for you because we are here for your rights as a human in every way. This plan is ours, and that's what we're here for, decriminalization. Patrick?
Right. Well said, Robert. Number 3, contact your representative. Your voice matters, especially when reaching out to your elected officials. Contact your local, state, and federal representative to express your support for cannabis law reform. Writing letters, making phone calls, or attending town hall meetings are all effective ways to communicate your stance. Sharing personal stories, well-researched arguments can have significant impact on representatives' perspectives. Your legislator's number is 1-800-372-7181. You can call them twice a day, Monday through Friday. We are specifically looking for a Republican legislator to support this bill. Right? This bill is a bipartisan bill. We are not making this red and blue. The Republican legislators are making this red and blue. And if you're a Republican and you voted Republican, I would ask that you reach out to your Republican legislator and tell them that you demand them to support this bill because they're not listening to us, period.
Right.
I am not political. I don't like either side. I don't enjoy politicians because I've been here long enough to see what they're doing. But it is important to reach out to your representatives, if nothing else, to have their answer. That way you've asked your representative to represent you. That's what they're there for. We've elected them to represent us in this state. And if we haven't taken the time to tell them how to represent us, that part falls on us. So do your part, speak to your employees, and make sure your employees are listening. Because if they're not, we need to deal with that process too. 4, support pro-cannabis legislation. Stay informed about upcoming bills and initiatives related to cannabis. When election time comes, make sure to vote in favor of pro-cannabis measures and encourage others to do the same. Your vote is a very powerful tool that can help shape policies and laws in Kentucky. Keep an eye on legislative developments to ensure you're ready to support initiatives that align with your views. Our bill is HB 105, and I'm going to go back before I even finish that and let you know there's all kinds of cannabis legislation happening in Frankfort right now. There's bills that are there to further prevent the cannabis products that are already for sale. And believe me, there's a lot of anti-cannabis people there that are always willing to speak. So any one of us that can get in there and shine a positive light on cannabis, make that time. It's not intimidating. Again, these people work for us. We hired them. I don't care how you voted, red or blue. They're here to represent us now, red and blue. So it's our job to make sure we tell them how. Visit us at whatever that website is at the bottom. That's a
Yeah.
good one. Patrick can show you all
And
that.
that's the link to our bill that you can actually go to the LRC and see the bill itself. Okay, let's see here. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and go next. Okay, so now number 5, participating in public demonstration. That almost goes along with doing advocacy. Finally showing. Give me 1 second. Finally showing support by attending rallies, marches, and other public demonstrations. Other demonstrations. I'm having. Give me 1 second.
I just gotta.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Oh, no.
All right. Sorry about that. My wife tried to join in and it kind of got feedback. Sorry about that. Finally, showing your support by attending rallies, marches, and other public demonstrations that advocate for cannabis legalization. These events not only serve to show solidarity, but they also help raise public awareness by pressuring other policymakers to consider reform. Joining others in public demonstrations can amplify these messages and amplify this message that cannabis law reforms is a priority for Kentuckians. Now, with that said, I'm gonna refer back to our little button thing that we're doing on 420. These buttons are real simple. They're $5 a piece. We've already sold probably 13 of them already. Our goal is to sell 100 before 420, right? So we would ask politely, if you support this measure, get you a button, right? Or tell your family and friends about us and let them know what we're doing, because everyone counts in this particular movement. Okay. All right.
I'm gonna add to that while I can, Patrick.
Sure.
The buttons are basically to help sponsor the advocacy. This is an unpaid position we do. So when we're doing these town hall meetings, that isn't pay for us. That is to make sure that we're able to advertise. We're able to reach out and reach further via Facebook ads or any of that. And it's not all out of our pocket because a lot of it still is, but we're trying to get the word out because we believe in this. And we're just asking if you can help, do help, because it's a cause that we're all fighting. We're not driving fancy cars. We're just trying to help people.
All right. You get number 6, Robert. This is Robert's baby.
Absolutely. Number 6 is contact media. It says local media, but I'll tell you, you got to reach further than that a lot of the times. An important step in raising awareness about cannabis law reform is to connect with your local media and reach out to newspapers, radio stations, and television channels to share information about this bill and its significance and ask them to report on the current state of cannabis laws in Kentucky and the potential benefits of reform. We've got to be really specific in this because everybody sounds like they're real pro cannabis whenever they're asked face to face, but you got to dig a little deeper than that. Our governor, he sat on a world stage with the Vice President of the United States and Fat Joe, influencer, and spoke about cannabis decriminalization. This was a national conversation on a world stage. And in our own state, there's a group of Kentucky colonels that operate Kentucky Cannabis Freedom Coalition that he still has not had that same meeting with. We're here and we have a bill here to protect Kentuckians. So again, no matter how you voted, we've got to hold representatives accountable. So reach out and ask them to accept that meeting too. Furthermore, by getting media coverage, you can help inform a wider audience and generate public interest, which means if they're not airing this on the news, Kentuckians don't know that this is even available. And if they're not knowing that this is available, they won't be mad if they don't get it. And that's the goal of a lot of the media, is to keep this suppressed. So we have to pressure them to do these stories. And that puts additional pressure on lawmakers to take action. We've seen how that worked in the previous years. Laws can be moved very quickly when needed. Look at TikTok. Engaging the media can amplify your message and increase the chances of positive change. I don't care how you vote, people. Make sure the representatives represent us. That's all we're asking.
Very good.
Patrick?
I mean, what I would say that, and how I would add to that also, I've been doing this for the past 10 years now, because Kentucky's a non-ballot initiative state. We are required to lobby our legislators. We have to go up to Frankfurt and talk to our legislators and tell them that what we want, right? Well, I've gotten to the point where I'm tired of it. I'm tired of talking to our legislators. They're not listening to us. So I want to get this on the ballot in the state. If we can get it on the ballot, this measure will pass. I feel very confident in that. So the next slide, we'll go into the next slide. In conclusion, by taking these steps, you contribute to the ongoing efforts to change cannabis laws and help create a more informed and equitable society. For more information, you can visit legalizekentucky.com. Together, we can make a difference. Thank you for your attention. All right, so let's stop
Yeah.
sharing here. All right, let's see here. All right, now that comes to the conclusion of our presentation. All right, we're going to go one by one. I'm actually watching Facebook Live as well, so if anybody has any questions, we will do our best to answer them.
Trying to answer the chat messages as we go.
Well, Wes said that the from Facebook, he said that the bourbon lobby has a lot of the politicians in their pocket. I would agree to that. I would 100% agree with that.
There is talk of a law right now that will be, there isn't even a number for a House bill for me to alert you to, but they're looking to ban hemp products, drinkable hemp products, and have that overseen by the ABC. I don't sell anything that's addictive in my store, and I wouldn't want anybody that regulates addictive stuff having to regulate my hemp products. But if people don't step up, they will, because legislators will do whatever the lobbyists say if Kentuckians aren't in there to stop it. And all you got to do is be there and be present and make your voice heard. Email, call, or just show up in person and sit through these meetings, because I'll tell you, if you ever sit through some of these committee meetings, you'll be astonished at the things that Kentucky waste their taxpayers' money on in these meetings.
Yep.
Involvement is everything.
Right. Now, real quick, I also want to try to address the Second Amendment right that people are having with this medical cannabis. Can I go ahead and do that real quick, Robert?
Get them.
Right.
Show it.
Basically, the Second Amendment right issue is a federal level. It's on a federal level. Okay, because cannabis is considered a Schedule One. They were supposed to have a hearing on the 21st. They canceled it. So it's now still scheduled a Schedule One. And it's supposed to be going to a Schedule 3, but that's been canceled now.
They didn't, and they're not rescheduling the meeting at those.
And they're not rescheduling the meeting at this point. With that said, this bill will address the Second Amendment right, and it will solve the decriminalization of that. Right. So every Second Amendment activist, I would ask, please support this measure.
My take on that is the focus in our Kentucky media on the Second Amendment, how people are so upset about this, which first off, you should be upset. Second off, if you're a cannabis consumer in Kentucky and a gun owner currently, you've already perjured yourself. So that's not doing anything extra. They're not going to come after you anymore. But what they are doing is they're keeping this in the media. So bills like our bill, a decriminalization bill, an amendment to the Kentucky Constitution to allow you to vote, is not in the media. So that's what we need people involved in. If you want decriminalization, ask for coverage on that, because we already know Kentuckians can't do anything about the federal side of that yet. And our governor being involved and offering an opinion on that doesn't mean anything, because again, it's on a federal level. They've all had ties. They could have all said this before. It's a political platform. We have to understand Kentuckians have to be involved, and they have to be able to petition their media to push their legislators to do what we're asking, because we're pretty easy to ignore when we're just one person standing up. But when we're a united group of people, we're very, very valid. We're the people that put them in office. So just hold them accountable, guys. That's all we're doing. This isn't a basher representative. This is a, hey, do your job representative. That's all we're asking.
Yep, I agree. I agree 100%. And we have to do it respectfully. Try to be respectful as much as we can. Right. I can understand that some people are very passionate about this issue, just like I am myself. Right. And I would do anything I could to get them to change their minds, but we have to be respectful, unfortunately, because they are our elected officials. Right.
They won't listen otherwise. If you go in nasty and rude and cussing, you're already wrote off.
Right.
Go in with the simple fact that you're a tax-paying citizen that votes. That's all you got to do. And be nice about it. Look, hey, You're in office, whether you voted for them or not. Hey, you're in office and we appreciate that. And you're our representative. We're asking you to represent. And I want to make a real clear point, everybody. I mean, you see all the people that's on here. There's roughly 10 people, maybe another 10 people in Facebook land. I don't know. I'm just guessing. But out of all the Kentuckians, I would guess a solid 65+% are for full decriminalization, which means most of them are consumers anyway in some fashion, whether it's CBD isolate, full spectrum, or full blown THC from hemp or marijuana, because they're the same thing. People don't get involved, and that is the only stigma that we have to break, because the passive part of this is what's holding us back. We can't just wait on it to fix itself. They've done that for decades now. We've seen that, but it just keeps revolving. And I'll go on my Gatewood rant real quick. Gatewood, great man, super intelligent. Everybody that I've ever spoke to spoke super highly of him and said how smart he was. And then you'll always hear somebody say, well, he was eccentric. And I just took that for what it was until I read the book and I actually started looking into Gatewood. First, he was a very intelligent person, and he spent a lot of time in our state house. But Gatewood didn't have what we have now, what we're looking at right now to do this. He didn't have social media. So he'd already said all these things we've said in Frankfort. He's already shown the people that this could help, and the stories have been heard just like they have from us. But Gatewood seen many years ago that he can talk till he's blue in the face in Frankfort. He's not getting anywhere. So the reason he's known for eccentric is because he would be on the side of the road or on a street corner with a pro marijuana sign, vote yes to cannabis, or any sign like that. And that's what made him known as eccentric. And I think that really takes away from him, because I don't think he was eccentric at all. I think he knew the only way to ever change these laws in Kentucky was to reach out to Kentuckians and help them get involved. And I don't think it was communicated right or enough back then, especially with the lack of social media. But the man left a legacy that we all have to finish now. And this isn't just for us, because if we get the legacy to enjoy this in our lifetime, that's awesome. Do it for our kids and our grandkids. That's what we're here for. And we got to protect people. This shouldn't never cost somebody their home or their vehicle or their family or their job. We're here to fix that. And that's all we're asking, is for people to help join in.
Okay. And what I will say to that is that, Robert, and let people know that HB 105 has the backing of the NAACP, the ACLU, right? Law Enforcement Action Partnership, which is a bunch of lawyers, judges, law enforcement support this bill, and a lot of other organizations support this bill. Okay. So when you hear of another bill that's similar to it, right, it's just muddy in the waters up in Frankfort. They're muddy in the waters. Okay. This bill is the bill that we have chosen to focus on, right? Period. Right. And we're going to stay at this bill until it gets done. My second grade teacher told me there was no such word as can't. I know we can get this put on the ballot. I know we can. All right. With that said, before I go any further, did I just see Angela message us in the chat? Is Angela on there? Angela?
It was there.
Angela, can you hear us?
Might just be listening in.
Oh, she's just listening in. I just saw her. She's a great activist. All right. Anybody else have any other questions? We'll answer every question we can answer.
Can you hear me?
I can.
You can. I go by the hashtag Duke of Hemp or hashtag Medicine Man when I'm wearing my cape that I got knighted with at the 45th annual smoking at the White House. It's a medical marijuana flag. And as you see, I'm wearing, can you see my picture too?
Yep.
Okay. You see, one of my favorite sayings by a friend, and I'm probably going to work it, it's swap shirts with a purpose, is life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And that's in our Declaration of Independence. And actually, the DEA, them fuckwads, excuse my French, I shouldn't cuss. I'm just mad because all of us are mad with them, because technically it says in our Declaration of Independence that anytime any government agency is destructive to the people, we the people may alter or shut down the government agency. And that's where I'm getting, where I wish I'd have some lawyers when we start hitting them, because they need to either shut down or shut the hell up, because they've done nothing but violated and wreck lives. I've been smoking weed 55 years, and I'll be smoking, drinking, or eating it, whatever. It's all good. It kicks in my endorphins, and I knew it was making me happy. I didn't know it was making me well as well until I got educated and I became your photographer. You didn't know it, but I'm getting ready to award you and anybody else listening, and you share it too, because I kind of went nationwide. You see, I'm a professional photographer that the National Press Club used to recommend, and I weren't a member, so I figured I got it down. I do good. So I spread the gospel of my hemp, my cannabis, and I helped legalize DC, Maryland, Virginia, and Delaware. I even brought a group called Virginia Marijuana Justice because I was pissed off. I was on the High Council of Virginia NORML, and they outlawed my cape to begin with. Then they outlawed me taking pictures. And they finally outlawed me because they've been bucking our hemp. And actually, they, to a degree in some states, or maybe even a little bit nationwide, I'm sorry to say, like a politician, they've been there so damn long. They came out in 1970 when I was in high school, that they're not pushing it as well as they should. So one group to follow in DC is the DCMJ, the District of Columbia Marijuana Justice. I look at them as the flagship of marijuana justice. I've been working with them for over a decade. And we were just, share another one. You can Google the Washingtonian, is the name of a magazine in Washington. They just covered us inauguration day. We weren't out celebrating the inauguration. We're out coping with it with music and weed and dancing at DuPont Circle. And so the Washingtonian did a little article and shared the deal with us. It's called, if you look up Washingtonian little rally at DuPont Circle, you'll find it's not always the numbers, it's the quality of the people. They have a real good network, and they have the DC MJ, they got the MD MJ. I brought VA MJ. They got the New York MJ, the NY, they got the Colorado. But they're a real good group you should follow. They're the ones we break out that 51-foot joint. We've had it at the White House. We've had it at the Capitol. And I'm going to award everybody over 420 free professional photo documented events. That's how we get the word out. I learned from the National Press Club, as I said, get the pictures out, get the networks out, get the people out that are the key activist people. And we all share, and that's how we make it happen. So on Facebook, follow the SOS, which I learned from my Navy days. I used to be, anyway, back on point because I get rambling, if you hadn't noticed, is on Facebook, it's the SOS PAC, PACT. And I'm also the SOS Dash Pack, but that's like a country song. Alan Jackson's a work in progress. I'm not there yet. That's where I'll sell my shirts with a purpose. The cap I'm wearing, the Fijian cap for liberty and freedom. Am I still there? I'm not seeing nobody else.
But we can still hear you.
Oh, okay. I just weren't sure if I went dead on the thing because sometimes I get mouthy. I've had my sleep, I've had my energy, my Chuck Norris morning kick, and a little bit of coffee, which I've been staying away from, because I'm already in the Red Bull. I quit. That should give me a stroke. I'm full of bulls enough as it is, if you hadn't noticed. But follow, I award you on my Facebook, the SOS PACT. Originally, when they wrote an article on me, the Duke of DuPont in Washington, D.C., my first community police calling was community policing. They ripped me off one too many times. So I took on with a fraternal order of police. But then I met LEAP, Law Enforcement Against Prohibition, which is now Law Enforcement Action Partnership.
Yes, they support our bill. We've got a letter from them supporting our bill.
Oh, good. Neil
So
Franklin.
yes, we are very close with LEAP.
Oh,
right.
good. Because that's what brought me in. They were speaking at a normal event wearing a shirt saying cops want to legalize pot. Asked me why. And I had to know because I was a member of the Fraternal Order of Police here in Washington, D.C., one of their drivers during Police Week and Blase. And I used to bring the forces together and from different districts. I did certain beats myself. I took my camera to the streets and found out all the hobnobbing, crack dealing, drinking, drugging, robbing, mugging, aggressive hustling. I don't know what the hell it is, but they're all camera shy. But then I met NORML and I said, well, if we help legalize weed, then we can cut out a lot of crime. We could help a lot of people who are drinking and, get their life together. And so I became an activist for NORML. And I've shot more NORML events, but I'm kind of working with other different groups and mainly marijuana justice groups. And, you know, I've been following you all for a while and what have you. And I know I'm getting a little, I'm old school, slow school, but damn good school. But tech savvy, I'm not. I'm an old film photographer, but I'm getting the digital down. I'm better at running my mouth, if you hadn't noticed, and taking pictures, as you'll see.
What do
Um,
you go by, Duke or Dunn?
I go by hashtag Duke of Hemp. That way I can introduce myself as Duke, and I can also push my hemp. I'm with the Virginia Industrial Hemp Coalition, and we help make it happen in Virginia. And not only that, federally as
Well, we
well. I know.
appreciate you joining in tonight, Duke.
Huh?
It's a good, I said, we appreciate you joining in tonight. That's a
No
good
problem.
introduction.
Let me give you another word of advice of a group to follow, because they're not only making it happen statewide, but federally, and that's the VAHemp.org. That's VirginiaHemp.org. And we're having our lobby day on January the 29th. And we only have one hemp bill. And all these sap-sucking politicians are stepping in on the hemp for their sponsors, like the big pharma deals, you know, and we need to call. Oh, that's one other important thing I want to point out. You need to let all your people know, any politician you can find out by opensecrets.org and use their name. You get their top 20 sponsors, donors, and you get how much money they're getting from them and their voting records on bills that affect us to find out whether, or you can go to Normal. Normal gives them a report card like we guys got in high school, A to F. If they're a C minus, they're need to be voted out. Or
We definitely need people involved, that's for sure. Especially in Kentucky, because just like you said, they are actively trying to ban the hemp products we currently have right now.
oh,
So
they're doing it
between
nationwide.
that, oh yeah, and between that and just not shadowing our ban or not having our bill on TV at all, they're keeping us from the news, and that's what we got to get attention back on is that HB 105. It's an amendment to the Kentucky Constitution. They ought to be all over that.
And I like a
So-
lot of what you were saying. You're hitting the nail on the head with every damn thing I'm hearing you say, basically. I just wanted to add a few other points that I've been dealing with that help me,
Oh yeah.
that help us. And like
Oh,
I
yeah.
said, I'm here for you. All my photos are I represent we the people in the Constitution, Declaration of Independence for life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness and health.
We
All right.
appreciate you,
Well, we
Duke.
appreciate you. We appreciate you. All right. Anybody else have any questions that we can try to bring up? We good? Any questions?
Hey, I'm Angela. Sorry, I couldn't figure this thing out for a minute. I wasn't
I'm
trying
with
to
you,
be rude.
Angela. I'm old school, slow school, but I'm getting there.
I'm not like I'm pretty good at it usually, but I don't know. The struggle was real tonight. It's fine.
Okay. Maybe got a little stoned. Anyway, carry on.
Who, me?
Angela, I
No.
apologize.
Good to hear
I thought
from you,
somebody
Angela.
else that I had recognized. I'm sorry.
What'd you say?
I had thought I'd recognized you from somebody else. I apologize. I misunderstood who you were. Welcome. We're glad to have you here.
Hi, thanks. Hi.
Did you have a question?
Well, you were talking about was it referring businesses for what? I kind of missed part of that.
Yeah, we have a referral program. So if you shop at a local business that supports cannabis decriminalization, reach out to them, right, and say, "Look, would you be interested in sponsoring our mission?" And if they say yes and become a platinum sponsor, we'll send you a $50 gift card.
Cool. What if I own the business?
If you own the business,
You just made 50
that's
bucks.
even better. That's even better.
Good deal. Good deal.
What business is that?
Faded, actually.
Can you explain it? Tell me what it is.
It's a barber shop, basically.
Okay.
I have 3 locations. I've got 2 in Lexington and 1 in Versailles.
Well, the
Well,
way
we should be slinging hemp out anything called faded.
What about
You-
a flyer that spells out about your Kentucky deal and about the bill that might be able to go at all 3 locations? That'd be a great help in itself. Waking up the people, like giving them knowledge is power.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm interested. And I was thinking what someone was saying, we often see anywhere from 50 to 150 people a day. There is not a person on my staff that isn't pro. There isn't, it's a very friendly environment.
Well, can I explain to you what our platinum level will do for you, Miss Angela?
Sure.
Basically, what it'll do is it'll give you we'll shout out your barbershop 3 times a week for 2 months. Okay, you'll be on our website as a platinum sponsor permanently, right? And then we will acknowledge you on our meetings every time we have a meeting. We'll say, you're part of our sponsorships. That is the goal. We're trying to bring everybody together where we understand that, your money means things, and we want to bring traffic to you. Does that
Okay.
make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, but we see so many people, and I think in all of my career, and I've been doing this a long time, I think in all of my career, I've maybe met 2 people that are against it. I
The
think it's one
majority of
thing
us
that
are definitely for it. They're just
correct, and I think I think that's the one thing, if anything, that can bring us unity right now, and I think it's a great time to
Right.
really push that.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you being on here. I really
Yeah,
do. Really do.
absolutely.
All right, now real quick, Robert, are you still with us?
I am here.
All right, real quick before I don't see you, where you at?
He's hiding.
You're hiding. All right, so I'm going to tell you real quick. We're having these meetings twice a week, all the way through the end of session. So the next one will be Sunday morning at 10 a.m. We ask that you invite your family, friends, news media representatives, anybody you can to come and join on to this meeting, right? And get this done. All right. With that said, um, Robert, did you want to add anything else?
I appreciate you, everyone being here. I've got to run out anyway. Again, this is our activism. This is how we make change. It's up to us, everybody that's here, to echo this
right.
to our friends and then ask them to do the exact same thing. Concentrate very specific on Kentucky law because that's the only thing we can change right now. Federal law, absolutely focus on that, but we got to look at Kentucky law first because that's the one that's got our bank accounts. Reach out,
Hey,
guys. That's our
can I
job.
share another quick thing? I'd
You
like to
can, but I
share
gotta go.
the THC magazine I documented here in Washington, King Weedy's mansion, and it's from the natives, from Mary Jane Oatman. It's tribal hemp and cannabis. And boy, the natives know more about it. And actually, she's just been invited to be a honored speaker here in Washington at the National Harbor for the Women's Grow as well. They're getting ready to have their big conference here in Washington, National Harbor, just outside of Washington, D.C. She's going to be one of the key speakers. I'm friend of the new CEO, and actually Jane West, who was the founder of the deal, Women Grow. She actually loved my cape so much. I got a picture of her going in front of my cape, and because
All right. Well, we'll just follow up with us tonight. Robert, are you still with us?
I am. I got to run, y'all. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for
peace and
being
love.
here. I
Glad to hear
appreciate
y'all.
y'all.
And glad to come back to the
We're gonna go ahead and call it a night. You all have a good night, okay?
Aye, aye. You too. Peace and love, and out.
All right, we'll see you tomorrow. See you Sunday
See you when I
morning.
see you, like I used to tell my mama and my other friends, because I never know. I'm a Rolling Stoner as well as the Duke of Hemp and Medicine Man.
All right,
Ciao.
you have a good night, okay?
All right, you too. Bye.
Bye.